Hello y'all on YouTube, this is Rob with Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today I have a very interesting impressions review of a knife that I was loaned by one of my awesome subscribers, Danny. I really appreciate it. I'll have his link to his Instagram, YouTube channel down below. If I have all of that, I do that with anybody if they want me to include that. If not, I will just be very discreet about it. But it's thanks to awesome subscribers like Danny and others and channel members who allow me to check out really cool knives that otherwise I might not be able to check out. Especially something like this. This is the Pro-Tech Tuxedo. It's Pro-Tech Godfather, and it's the Tuxedo version, which is really, really cool. And I know Danny is trying to sell this, so if anybody's interested, you can contact Danny or let me know and I'll give you Danny's information, but he would like to sell it. He might even like to trade it. So if it's still available, let me know. If not, don't worry about it. But this is a very cool knife. It's not something I would probably buy because of the size and the aesthetics, but I wanted to check it out, and I'm so appreciative that he let me do that. So this is a Pro-Tech. Oh, by the way, there's no unboxing of this. This is just a review impressions, and it's because Danny and I had a knife meetup. We were just talking about knives. I shared some knives, and we talked about them. And he said, "Hey, I got a couple of knives. You want to check them out?" And one I've done another review impressions on, and this is the other one that he let me borrow. So I wanted to share that with you guys. This is made by Pro-Tech. It's a USA-made knife. It's built in the USA in California. It's called the Godfather. It's a classic design that's been around a long time, and this is what they call the Tuxedo version. It's got white, I want to say it's G10. I think it's G10 inlays. It's polished G10. T6 screws all around, T8 right there. Typically, you wouldn't take a Pro-Tech, an automatic, a knife apart. If you do, just be very careful. You got to make sure, I don't know if it voids the warranty. I would definitely check with them first, right? But definitely, it's encased. It's an automatic knife, so also know your local and state knife laws with that. It does have a steel. This is definitely a steel clip. You can see that. It's aluminum body. So and the G10 insert. We'll talk about that. Very nicely chamfered all the way around. Very comfortable. Very large. Great for larger hands. The clip works well. I'm not a big fan of this little flat going down here, but it does work, okay? I mean, it's not my favorite clip in the whole world. I have a Pro-Tech TR3 that I really, really enjoy and works well with this. I do recommend that, but this is pretty cool. So let's go ahead and open this up. So this is the TR3, this is the Godfather. It's 154 cm blade steel. So that's really cool. It's a good solid blade steel. It'll sharpen up really well. You can chamfer that, strop that up really nicely on a leather strop. That works really well. As you know, with the Godfather, it has a very thin, pokey type of knife, very stiletto looking, right? It's definitely a dagger looking, but it's only sharpened on one side, the other side is not, and it does have a beautiful swedge on there, so it allows for cutting. So, some people say, well, that's a tactical knife. Well, no, to me, it's also very functional, because like if you open letters, this is a beautiful letter opener. If you're going to have a nice knife at your desk and open letters, this is awesome because it'll get right in there. Box opening, great. If you have cases of water, fertilizer, dog food, cat food, this is a very functional knife. And being that it's automatic, it's really nice to open like that and then you can close. Now, it is capable of closing with one hand. You can see how I did that. You can get down there like that once you get in the habit of it. If you're not comfortable, don't mess around with something like this, right? Make sure you know what you're doing, right? So, but I like that. And it does open both left-handed and right-handed. You just got to make sure on your left hand you got a good grip. You don't want it to fly out of your hand, especially because it's a large blade and it does open wide. It does have a nice kick to it, right? It's not super fast. It's not like my McNeese or the TR3, but, in a sense, as a, stiletto looking kind of, Italian sort of looking knife, it's really, really nice. It does have a nice little contour on there. This is aluminum body. It's black. I want to say, it's not Cerakoted. I think it's PVD coated, and on the clip as well, and the blade as well, right? So all that, the edge, it's not a super thin, slicey edge. It does get thin here and small, so you can get through stuff. You can see that. Let's see if we can get to focus in on that. Right, but it is not a super thin slicer, right? It's no hollow grinds, flat grind, all that stuff. It does lock into place here. Now, with most Pro-Techs, they're really solid and it's well in there. To disengage the lock, you press the button again and it unlocks it right here, and then the blade comes back in and it locks here, and this unlocks it, this locks it back in place, right? So that is the open and close button, if you will. So you have to disengage, manually close it with your hand. That's the steel. I don't know about, it could be washers, it could be phosphor bronze. I don't know. I've never taken a Pro-Tech automatic apart. I don't usually take any automatic apart because that's a big endeavor, right? And so I'm not a big fan of ever taking those. I disassemble a lot of knives, but never any of my automatics, just so you know. And I don't plan on doing that, and that's why I don't have a whole lot of automatics. But I like them. I appreciate them, right? So that is the design. And the way it works and the way it opens and closes is the button. This is the open, this is the close. That's it, right? That's how most automatics work. It's a single action. It's not dual action like an OTF that goes up and down and closes like that. Single action, right? So just keep that in mind. There is a nice little cutaway. The button is definitely depressed, but it's plenty of access to get to it. So, you know, you're not going to accidentally hit it if something comes over it, but if you have to intentionally press down there, and then to disengage it, you have to press down as well. So even big meaty fingers, because there's a lot of space in there, it's easy to get to. It works, right? It's not a super small button that's hard to get into. That's really nice. Lock type, it is the Pro-Tech button lock, you know, it's typical what they use. So, you know, not much to speak about there. Let's do a little bit of measurements. Let's weigh this knife. It is a large knife, and we're going to get into the length of it, and you'll definitely see that. So we're in grams again. Let's go to ounces. All right. So this is a 4.08 ounce knife, which is not bad for the size of knife you're talking about. Let's go ahead and do the overall length of this knife. This is where you're going to definitely see, you know, the size of the knife jumps out at you. All right. So we're looking at overall length. It's over 9 inches. It's 9 1/4 inches. That's like the biggest knife I think I've handled. Maybe not, but I think my Adamas is a little over 9.5. But this is a big knife. Let me just say that. I think even my Quantum is not this big. All right. So overall length of the handle, you've got over 5 inches of room, 5 1/8 of an inch. So giant hands, easy to use, right? The blade length itself is going to be from the tip to the hilt of the top of the handle is about 4 inches, and the total overall cutting length is going to be about 4 7/8 of an inch. So it's definitely over your 3 inch. Definitely not California legal, you know, in a lot of places. Just keep that in mind. All right, so to measure the blade stock thickness, I'm gonna have to leave it open because it does hide the knife pretty well. And let's go. All right, so we'll measure what we got here. So it's 127 thousandths of an inch. So 0.127 inches, about the average, right? And it does come down pretty thin there. So there you go. All right, so let's talk about that's the weight. And so the cost of the Godfather, the last I checked, the Godfather was, all right, so the knife is $280, which definitely puts it into the regular category, which is under $300, so it's not in the high-end category, which is not bad. 154 blade steel, even with the Tuxedo version with the G10 inlay, that's really nice. Not bad, you know, and if the aesthetic speaks to you, definitely. Is it EDC? Absolutely EDC. Is it hard use? I would never do an automatic like this, especially with a thin tip like that for hard use. But it all depends on what's your hard use. Is it hard use for opening letters? Yeah. Is it hard use for opening boxes? Probably. Is it hard use for opening, you know, cases of water? Yeah. Is it hard use for chopping logs? Never. Right? Is it a collection piece? You know, if this speaks to you and you love this aesthetic, yeah, it's absolutely a collection piece. For me, is it a collection piece? No, not really. It's not my aesthetic. It's not a knife I would probably ever buy or keep in my collection. It's a little too big. I would probably go for the Godson, the smaller version, if I were to get one. I like my Pro-Tech TR3, and I'm plenty happy with that. I don't probably have a need for another one, but I'm really excited to get a chance to try it out. I like it. I like to have that experience so I can relate to it and experience other knives, and it allows me to appreciate them, right? So thank you so much again. The design is really cool. The design, let me talk about that, my overall ergonomics and feel. It fits. It fits well. There's no sharp edges. Everything's chamfered. It's comfortable hand, no hot spots. Everything's rounded. It works. Opening and closing is very easy with 2 hands, and for me, relatively speaking, for 1 hand as well. So that works well. Opening and closing is great. The clip, I wish it was a little more deep pocket carry clip. You can get some aftermarkets if you like that, but it is a big knife, and the blade's completely hidden there. Everything's rounded, nothing sharp. It's very comfortable, so that to me is great. Fidget factor, it's an automatic. Usually I only give automatics 3, so except for the McNeese, that was an exception. But this one, I'm going to give this one probably a 3.5. It's going to be a little bit better than the TR3 because I can actually use that pivot point and then close it. On my TR3, it's super sharp and edgy around there. I can't do this. I have to do it two-handed, which is a bummer. Or you use the back of my pant leg, right? Where you do that, and then you try to close it by pressing the button and closing it down like that, you see? So that's what you can do on your pant leg. But that, you got to know what you're doing. Be careful, right? So don't cut yourself. So as far as that, I'm going to give it a 3.5, right? As far as fidgety goodness, out of those 3 for an automatic, I'm definitely going to give this a 90. definitely a 90. Pro-Tech's always very solid, one of the better automatics out there, I would say. Not the absolute best, but they are, as far as main production, lots of knives, a lot of the automatics they do, they are one of the top tier ones out there. Now, if you want to talk about one awesome automatic knife, you know, I think Microtech has an amazing one, but I also would say McNeese has another amazing one, and I think those comes down to aesthetics and what you like more. I think for me, McNeese Auto, the 3.5 is my favorite. So, but this is definitely a good solid 90. It's a really good design. So overall thoughts. Yeah, if the aesthetics speak to you, if you like this, if the design and the size speak to you, it's absolutely going to be a recommended knife. Is this going to be, I would say, a recommended knife, but is it a recommended knife for me? Probably not. I like it, and I'm going to recommend it to other people who like the design. I would not recommend against it, but am I going to include it in my recommended list? No, because it's not a knife that I would carry or want, all right? I appreciate having had the chance to try it out, but it's not a knife for me. But definitely, I think it's worthwhile checking out. But if the aesthetics, the size speak to you, absolutely go for it. So that's my overall thoughts. Hey, tell me what you think below. Give me any comments, any questions about the knife. If you think where I'm wrong, please let me know. Again, this is one of those knives that's going to really speak to you, and those who speak to you, you're going to love it. But if you don't like big, giant automatics, it may not speak to you. But if you do, this is the one, right? So, hey, if you like this, if you found this content fun, interesting, and entertaining, worthwhile, informative, would you please consider hitting the like button down below? And if you've already hit that like button, would you please consider hitting the subscribe button? Subscribing and liking the videos really helps out the channel, helps me out, helps me to do more things, produce more content, do more things for you guys. Thank you. I really want to say thank you very much. And if you've done all that, maybe consider hitting the notification button so you can be notified of future content when it is dropped. And if you haven't already, maybe check me out over on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Again, that's on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Thanks so much for watching today. Have a great day and a great week. Bye.